It's my pleasure to introduce Ann Trahan. She is a Bay City Noon Rotarian and a local photographer here in Bay City. She is very passionate about the environment, and we are so happy that she is our champion of the environment for District 6310. Today, she's going to talk to us about the initiatives that the district does and what to look forward to for our Great Lakes Watershed Cleanup Day. So, Ann, I will let you take it away.
Thank you very much. All right, I am going to share my screen, and I want you to know I started being chair of the environment in 2020 when Randy Etma asked me if I would be involved, and I said, sure. Who knew? Now I'm just trying to get my program to work here, so let me go back here. I'll try this screen. Hold on 1 second. And Tara and I practiced this, and it's still not going. Let's see. All right, I think, oh, it's going to go. So Randy asked me in 2020 to be champion, and I said, sure. It's an honor, and by being the champion, it has made me do a lot of research, which has actually been very fascinating. And Rotary International took a survey in 2020 or thereabouts and found that lots of the younger Rotarians, in fact, all of the younger Rotarians, found the environment to be one of their major concerns. So they decided to add Rotary as one of the 7 areas of focus. And I'm sure you all have the other ones memorized. And if you don't, here they are. And as you can see with all of them, you can see the environment here, but all of them, a lot of them overlap each other. And as I talk today, you'll see how the environment overlaps with some disease and prevention, water, sanitation, etc. So it will happen. So we just all want to embrace the environment. And I'm going to try and get rid of this picture up here. Let's see. Well, I don't know if those, yeah, all right. Anyway, so we want to embrace the environment. Now today is still March, but in April, it's the Environment Month. And Earth Day was created in 1970. It's always April 22nd, every single year. This year, a lot of the clubs are going to celebrate and do some activities for Earth Day on the 20th because that's the weekend. It's also our district conference, as you may know. So maybe you've changed dates. But the beginning of Earth Day was to educate people and make people aware of our environment. Initially, it was just education. Now it's activities. So people go out and do things and other people can see that we're doing things. So just remember, Rotarians find creative solutions and take action to safeguard our vital resources. And it's very important. And Rotarians themselves think so. I think we all want to be in a beautiful world like this and have every evening end with clean water and fresh air. So let's do what we can from sunrise till sunset. Let's keep the environment first and foremost. Tara, do you know how to get rid of these pictures so I can show this? Well, I'll just put it there. So the first initiative, I'm going to tell you 3 different initiatives that District 6310 has been involved with since 2020. The first is the Great Lakes Watershed Cleanup, which was actually started by 2 clubs or 2 districts in Canada, but they wanted to involve all the clubs and districts all around the Great Lakes. So there are 2 provinces and 8 states that touch the Great Lakes. So those people in Owasso, when they throw out some trash and perhaps it ends up in the ditch, it's going to go out to Lake Huron. It's going to go down here through Lake Erie, Lake Ontario, the St. Lawrence Seaway, and out to the Atlantic Ocean. And I'm sure you've all heard of the Great Pacific Garbage Patch, which is a huge, huge area of garbage and plastics, things floating, that's trash that we have gotten rid of. That's not the only one there is. There's one in the Atlantic Ocean. There are many of them, and they're developed by currents in the water and different things. So every piece of trash that we throw out, even if we're in the middle of the state, is going to get out to our waterways. So let's keep that in mind. And also today, I got notice from Rotary, and perhaps all of you did, that today is World Water Day. So what better day to discuss this? In 2020, you can see the masks, but this was an outdoor project and every club in our district was involved and did all sorts of variety of projects. Some cleaned The woods, because the Sanford Dam failure was then, and they got boats out of the woods and refrigerators. Many people found tires, lots of trash, all sorts of unusual items. And you can see all the people that were involved. We had over 500 people involved, and we collected over 6 tons of trash, not including refrigerators and boats and miscellaneous. And this is just a little example of some of the things that we as District 6310 kept out of the waterways. We kind of like our water, and we kind of like boating and whatnot, so let's keep it clean. So this year, we want our waterways to look like this. Now, it's not going to look like that here in Michigan, but that's clean, crystal clear water and beautiful fresh air to breathe, and we want that everywhere. So we have this year, the theme is Planet versus Plastic, and for Earth Day. And there are plastics that are good, lots of plastics that are good, and there are plastics that are bad. And the ones that are primarily a problem are single-use plastics. Like, you'll hear me talk about water bottles a couple times, but just for a case in point, in 2 years' time, 6 million tons of single-use plastic went into the oceans. That's just in 2 years. So think about every year. Something we want to work on. These are a couple of the kinds of things that end up in the trash and in our waterways and in our oceans and in those giant garbage patches. And when they get in those giant garbage patches, and all along the way, they are hurting our wildlife, the fish that we eat. They see plastic, they might eat it. They get stuck in those plastic rings, the 6-pack rings, all that kind of stuff. We just want to think, look how 500 years to disintegrate for a plastic diaper. This is an albatross, which is a beautiful bird that flies over the oceans and sometimes for up to 6 years at a time without ever touching land. And look at what's in this poor albatross's stomach. He has a lighter, bottle caps, a comb, a bunch of junk. He didn't get that on land. That is what we put in the waterways. So that's why the Great Lakes watershed cleanup is something that we need to continue every year. Here's a picture of a lot of plastic waste. You might notice that most of it is plastic water bottles. So we just want to avoid that. Also, I mentioned laundry detergent because those big plastic containers, laundry detergent has some chemicals in it that can't be washed out. Our club just had a nice talk from Vantage Plastics, and they tell people the plastics they create, if you return them to them clean, they can reuse them and recycle them. And he said they've never had anybody return it clean. So we maybe wash our things out when we put them in the recycling, like the laundry bottles, but you can't get the chemicals out of them. So it's better. I have some alternatives for you. Every piece of plastic in the entire environment comes from us. We put it there. Plastic isn't something that grows on trees, or we can't grow it in crops, but we can do something about it. Another initiative that the District 6310 was involved in is the Feed and Focus program in cooperation with the Nature Conservancy. And here you see the district governor at the time, Randy Edma, myself, and Joe Leland, who is with the Nature Conservancy, and of course, Bossy the cow. The grant was started because a very generous Rotarian named Mark McClinsky pledged $100,000 to 3 different states, Michigan being one of them, in matching grants if we got involved with this initiative. And the things to be worked on, and I'll show you a little more in a minute, are the environment, certainly, water and sanitation, because let's just say when a cow eats food and then we know what happens, and then that goes in the ditch, and we want to just keep everything nice and clean and think about what the cow eats and whatnot. I mean, it's got a number of facets in this program, and it is a 3-year program, Feed and Focus, and we're only starting year 2. But it's for farmers with 150 head or less. And we're just trying to have cleaner air, better soil quality, cleaner water, and certainly better animal health. And these farmers from a farm outside of Frankenmuth had some inner city kids from Detroit come up to their farm, and they explained lots of things about them and told them about growing. Some of the practices that they're working with are different food additives, different ways to grow crops, different cover crops to keep the soil covered so that the dirt doesn't just blow in the ditches, the different soil crops that help the vegetation and the growing of the crops to feed the cattle so that they're not using fertilizer. And I won't read all these things, but it's really a very involved process. And it's going to be 3 years because they do some reporting the first year to show what they are doing, and then they try some new things. And we fund them through this program to try some new things. And here is a nutritionist at one of the farms, and most dairy farms, or all dairy farms, have a nutritionist. And he's trying some of the different food additives, trying some different things, and he's explaining it to the students. And they keep good records and record if the milk production is less or better, or if it's had any effect at all, if it saves money, if it costs more money. Really a neat program, worthwhile. And when we do it here in Michigan, and it's being done in Wisconsin and I think North Carolina, of course, if we find things that work beautifully, we're going to share it with the world. Why not? So we raised in our district about $75,000, including the matching funds from the generous Rotarian. And that encouraged Nestle to donate $750,000. So we are supporting 3 farms, and through them, a lot more farms. So this is our earth. This is our place in space. That's going to keep it a little bit cleaner. Another thing we are working on in our place in space, the earth, our planet that we live on, our environment, is pollinators. And this is a nice painting of a pollinator garden. And Melanie McCoy, the current district governor, has asked us, she came and visited our clubs and talked about pollinator gardens as well as other things. And I'm sure she visited your club too. And so we are trying to get involved in the pollinator garden. Pollinators are important to each and every one of us. And most of us think of pollinators as bees, and bees are pollinators. So are bats, butterflies, birds, lots of things. So we want to grow beautiful gardens, and think who doesn't like flowers, that will create places for them to go. And we want them to go all around. Now so we want to plant the gardens. That's an active effort. We want to educate people why it's important to plant them. And these are some displays that were at a museum somewhere in our travels, but I thought they were excellent to educate people on why we need pollinators and how important they are. And of course, they had beautiful gardens outside. This is Michigan Wildflower Farm. This is how they sort the seeds for the gardens, for the seed packets that we get. They grow the beautiful flowers, they collect the seeds, each different seeds in these pools, which were, as Tara knows, made by Vantage Plastics with the kiddie pools. But it's a very time-consuming project, and it's not machine done. It's very important, and a lot of care is taken so that there are some perennials and some annuals, a variety of colors within each of the gardens. It's really neat. Here we have, this is a sign from actually New York State, but it's just a rest stop. And at the rest stop, they had a pollinator garden, they had a rain garden, they had permeable pavement. This shows some overlapping of water sanitation to stop the rainwater and keep it going, and having it slowly go through the rain gardens to water it. So you don't just have the water going out the sewers and whisking away all the trash. At Delta College, a number of you have been there, they have rain gardens in the parking lot. You can't jump from one parking place to the next because it's a big ditch, but it's collecting the rainwater, and that rainwater, believe it or not, they use to flush the toilets there after it's been filtered some. And they have a lot of interesting signage so that you do know what's going on there. So there's the education part as well as the action part. So pollinators are beautiful, can be lots of things. I think we all enjoy seeing them. So I want you to plant pollinator gardens, and it can be as little as a window box. But if I have a window box and my neighbor has a plot, and then their neighbor has a plot, and then down the street, but the pollinators can really make our food healthier and more diverse. 80% of our food comes from plants that grow because of pollinators. The Saginaw Basin Land Conservancy is a group here in our area, and we have partnered with them for several years for our Great Lakes watershed cleanup projects, but they do lots of things, including planting pollinator gardens. And they have taken over a lot of empty plots in Saginaw and planted them with pollinator gardens. So instead of an empty lot or a ruined house, they've cleaned up the trash, cleaned the property, and planted a pollinator garden. So the neighborhoods are beautiful, very nice. They've also have a pollinator plot, large one on the middle grounds in Bay City, and some of you may have seen it, and it's very pretty. So you want to know how we can be involved. Now, we know the Saginaw Basin Land Conservancy, and they are in our area, but where you all live, there's some place you can become involved with something. Talk to some officials in the town and people and figure out what we need to do in each of our communities. And do you know a site to put a pollinator garden? If you come to the district conference, you will certainly have some seeds to put in your pollinator garden. I'm just going to quote a speech from Chief Seattle that was written 170 years ago. And he says, "Whatever befalls the earth befalls the son of the earth. Man did not weave the web of life. He is merely a strand in it. Whatever he does to the web, he does to himself. If we throw out trash, if we spray insecticide over everything in our area and our groundwater is getting it, we're doing that to ourselves. We're not saving things, we're hurting things. Things to think about." I just want to point out that the Pinconning Standish Club was recently recognized by the Saginaw Basin Land Conservancy with the Osprey Award, which recognizes individuals and clubs that, not just clubs, but people that work to educate the world about the environment. Kind of the whole point of our environment area of focus and Earth Day and everything. And they really get involved with the student bodies in their area. And they take them on bird walks and they take them fishing. They go in the classrooms and educate them. They're involved with every classroom up there. And they've been doing this for about 10 years. So they've finally been recognized. It's not a day project. It is like a month or two project. So bravo to them. And I think perhaps they're developing some future Rotarians because they don't just do third graders like dictionaries and thesauruses. They do the whole school system. So it's really neat. So it's worthy of recognition, and may we all be so proud. These are just a couple of quick things to show you that this is a ditch in Bay County and a tree fell across the ditch. And look at all the trash and yucky stuff that it collected. So if someone were to skim that, that wouldn't go out into the Saginaw Bay and then out into Lake Huron, and you know where it goes. So these are some people that collected plastic water bottles and made a barrier, and they have organized so that somebody skims it each week. Perfect. So that, and they get rid of the trash in the appropriate ways. Other brilliant ideas that people have had are storm drains. These ideas are already out there. Somebody already did these. You can get these if you want. Drain socks, putting them at the end where a culvert comes out, and this is all trash that's not going in our waterways. You may have a wonderful idea your own self. Talk to somebody. Let's get it out there. And if you do have ideas, Larry Arndt is our district chair of the grants. So you can talk to him and he may have suggestions or tell you how it all works, because I'm not that clear on it, but I think you need another club. This is again at Delta College where I work out, and they've taken care of things. They're really very serious about things. So these are trash cans. It's not one trash can. It's 4 trash cans, very clearly marked in multiple letters. And even you can't fit a plastic bottle in here, so it's not going to go wrong. And if you can't read, they've got pictures and they've got pictures of what is correct and what is not correct. This is the kind of thinking we all need to be doing. This is a painting by August Clark when he was 15 years old. He's older now. And at 15 years of age, he said, the name of this painting is Pick. And he said, would you rather live in a world with the sun shining, clouds full of fresh water and rainbows, flowers growing, crops growing? Or would you rather keep trashing the way we are and throwing out the 6-pack holders, the plastic bags, the water bottles, and not caring about our environment? At 15, he knew which to pick, and I think we all do. Quick reminder of the 3 R's: reduce, reuse, and recycle. These are some clever people that reused some items. I'm certainly not suggesting you make a boat or a house, but think about what you can do. It is kind of interesting. It's us, guys. We're the ones that are going to make the difference. Just a quick fact about Machu Picchu. In 2019, an average of 14 tons of waste every day was generated by the tourists. Much of it was plastic, single-use plastic water bottles. I think they're outlawed now. Another quick case in point is the Mardi Gras parade, which just happened not too long ago. And they throw lots of things from the floats. And lots of those things are plastic beads. And after the parade, those beads go in the trash cans. And then guess where they go? Just, we need to think of new things to do. Like, for instance, throwing out packets of red beans. That's something, a product that they grew there and that could be used. So I'm going to stop sharing just for a moment to show you some things that you should do. Of course, what can we do? We can all use a water bottle. Did you know that 1 million single-use plastic water bottles are made and sold each and every day in the world? Each and every day. So just use plastic water bottle. Reusable coffee cup. That's not very hard. Just take a reusable coffee cup. When my husband and I travel, we are now in the habit. It takes a while to get in the habit of good practices, but we're in the habit of taking a reusable cup wherever we go. So all the times, let's say we went on a 3-day trip, that's a lot of coffee. I have to tell you that we're saving those cups. I mentioned laundry detergent. So here's a laundry detergent bottle. This bottle does 27 loads of laundry. What I use is this. Comes in a packet like this. This does 32 loads of laundry. And I've never had anybody complain that I smell bad and my clothes aren't clean or whatever. This works very well. So that's, which would you rather have on your laundry shelf? I hope you'd like to try. There are lots of, this isn't the only company. There are lots of companies that make these and they do work. Shampoo. We all use shampoo. I use shampoo. This is a plastic water bottle that's going to go collect in a garbage pile. So what I use is this. It's a cardboard box that can disintegrate into the earth afterwards. And it's a shampoo bar. It's just like a soap bar. And I have it in plastic so I don't get soap on my hand. But this works really well. My hair's clean. Works well. Recommend it highly. Net bags that they sell at grocery stores now. When you buy apples, they have them all sizes. Put them in here instead of using the plastic bags they have. Every time I used to go shopping, I'd have like 6 plastic bags to get rid of at least. And my husband tells me that you put a head of lettuce in this and he keeps it in the refrigerator and it stays fresh longer. Many of you, and I hope all of you, are in the habit of taking reusable garbage bags with you. This we got from BayCityRecyclables.org. And this says, I used to be a plastic water bottle. So there are things that we can do right now. I'll go back to my screen just for a moment, maybe. Let's see here. That didn't work as well as hoped, but let me go here. Because this is certainly, hold on, what we'd all like to see. I think. Green leaves, beautiful water, quiet, birds singing, clear water. You can look down in the water and see fish swimming. No trash anywhere. I would love to be in a kayak and go down this river and dangle my hand in the water, feel it, see it. We can do that with a little work from all of us. We all can help. So let's, as Rotarians, make a positive and measurable and sustainable impact and difference. And I didn't mention yet, I don't believe, but I do want to mention, I read a fabulous book when I started this project by Rachel Carson called The Silent Spring. And it was written in 1962. And she is the one that started the awareness of the environment. You may remember way back when, and some of you were too young, that eagles were dying, and there were very few bald eagles because of DDT. And she put the alarm out that that is what was poisoning the eagles, let alone a lot of other things. And through all her work and her research on the book, The Silent Spring, in the Environment and Earth Day came about. So definitely recommend you read that book. Let's do it for them. Let's do it for the little ones. Now, this child is very little, and my granddaughter, but the young Rotarians and the old Rotarians like myself would really want the environment saved. I want to save it for everybody. We all want to think of our children and grandchildren and the rest of the world for a long time. This is some of my contact information, and it's also on the district website, along with Larry Artz for the district grants chair. So I want to thank you very much for listening.